I stood frozen in the bridal suite of Asheville's Mountain Haven venue, my heart pounding as flames licked up the delicate ivory satin of my wedding dress. The gown, a labor of love stitched over 6 months, was now a smoldering ruin on the polished oak floor. Lillian Brooks, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, stood before me, her manicured hand still gripping the lighter. Her face was a mask of triumph, her eyes glinting with a fury I'd only glimpsed in her sharp comments over the past year. "Now you can't marry my son," she declared, her voice shrill with a mix of hysteria and satisfaction. "Nathan deserves someone from our world, not some small-town girl who thinks a community college degree makes her special." I'm Emily Harper, 27, a graphic designer who clawed her way out of a trailer park in rural North Carolina. My mom passed when I was 16, leaving me with a fierce determination to build a life on my own terms. I'd worked 2 jobs to put myself through school, designing logos for local cafes to pay the bills. Meeting Nathan, with his warm smile and architect's dreams of sustainable homes, felt like finding a home I'd never known. But Lillian had never approved of me, her subtle jabs about my humble roots a constant undercurrent. Now, as the smoke curled upward, stinging my eyes, I realized her disdain had turned to destruction. My 3 bridesmaids, Clara, Sophie, and Lila, stood like statues in their sage-green dresses, their faces pale against the backdrop of the ruined gown. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burnt fabric, and I could feel my pulse hammering in my throat. But something steadier rose within me, a resolve forged from years of proving myself. "Mrs. Brooks," I said, my voice calm despite the chaos, "you've made a mistake." I reached for my phone, my fingers trembling only slightly as I unlocked the screen. Lillian laughed, a brittle sound that echoed in the high-ceilinged room. "A mistake? I've saved Nathan from you. You think your little ad agency job makes you good enough for a Brooks? He belongs with Abigail Vance, whose father owns half the breweries in Asheville." I didn't respond, my thumb already pressing the button to open the live stream app. Clara, my best friend and maid of honor, moved swiftly to the window, pushing it open to let the smoke escape. The mountain breeze swept in, carrying the scent of pine and a faint promise of clarity. Lillian's designer purse swung from her shoulder as she gestured wildly. "The wedding's off," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "I'll tell everyone you got cold feet. Nathan will be upset, but he'll thank me later." "Are you sure?" I asked, turning my phone toward her. The screen showed a live feed of the ceremony space below, rows of white chairs nestled in the venue's garden, a floral arch glowing under the soft Asheville sunlight, and a massive projection screen now displaying this very room. Lillian's face, twisted with rage, was broadcast to every guest, along with her words about my unworthiness. Her cheeks drained of color. What is that?" she stammered. "The live stream," I said, meeting her eyes. "For Nathan's grandparents in Savannah and my brother, who's deployed in Japan. It's been running for 20 minutes, capturing everything, including you burning my dress." Lillian's eyes widened, her perfect composure unraveling like a dropped stitch. "Turn it off," she shrieked, lunging for my phone. Her nails grazed my wrist, but Clara stepped between us, her photographer's eyes sharp and unflinching. "Mrs. Brooks," she said, her voice steady, "everyone just saw you commit arson on a live feed. Maybe take a second to think about what you do next." My phone buzzed furiously in my hand, notifications flooding in from guests watching the drama unfold. Lila, my quick-witted copywriter friend, glanced at the screen and gasped. "Emily, it's Nathan. He's on his way up." Lillian's gaze darted around the room, searching for an escape from the trap she'd set for herself. "This isn't what it looks like," she stammered, her voice rising. "I was testing the fabric. Wedding dresses are supposed to be flame-resistant." From my phone, I could hear the murmurs of the crowd below, the live stream now capturing the guests' reactions. Someone had adjusted the camera, panning across the ceremony space. Nathan's father, Henry, sat in the front row, his face carved in stone. Nathan's best man, Owen, was already sprinting toward the building. Most striking was Nathan himself, no longer standing calmly at the altar, but charging up the aisle, his tuxedo jacket flapping, his face a storm of shock and anger. I looked down at the charred remains of my dress, the intricate lace now reduced to ash on the hardwood. My heart ached, not just for the gown, but for the dream it represented, the moment I'd imagined since Nathan proposed under the dogwood trees last spring. Yet, the practical part of me, the part that had balanced budgets and deadlines at the ad agency, was already shifting gears. "Sophie," I said, turning to my florist bridesmaid, "what about that sample dress from Maggie Tate's shoot last month? The one with the lace sleeves?" Sophie's eyes lit up with understanding. "The ivory sheath? It's at her boutique downtown. It'd fit you like a glove." Before I could say more, the door burst open. Nathan stood there, his chest heaving, his gaze moving from me to his mother to the smoldering pile on the floor. "Mom," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "tell me I didn't just see you burn Emily's dress while saying she's not good enough for our family." Lillian's demeanor shifted, her face softening into a mask of concern. "Sweetheart, you don't understand. I was protecting you. She's after your inheritance, Nathan. I had to test her." Nathan's jaw tightened, his eyes blazing. "Stop lying." I heard every word. He turned to me, his expression softening. I'm so sorry. I never thought she'd go this far." I stepped over the ashes, my bare feet careful on the warm floor, and took his hand. "It's just a dress," I said, though the words felt hollow. It was more than fabric, it was the symbol of our commitment, now tainted by Lillian's cruelty. But as I looked into Nathan's eyes, I knew we were stronger than her sabotage. Henry Brooks appeared in the doorway behind Nathan, his retired attorney's poise cracking under the weight of what he'd witnessed. His silver hair caught the light, but his eyes were dark with something I'd never seen before, disgust, sharp and unyielding. "Lillian," he said, his voice low, "what have you done?" The question hung heavy, like the smoke still lingering in the room. Lillian's hands fluttered, her confidence crumbling. "Henry, please. You know Abigail Vance's family is a better match. They're part of Asheville's legacy, not like Emily, who," Henry cut her off, his tone colder than the mountain air outside. "Not like Emily, who built a career from nothing. Who loves our son for who he is, not what he's worth. You've gone too far, Lillian." My phone kept buzzing, messages piling up from guests watching the live stream. I caught a glimpse of one from my boss, Sam, at the ad agency. Asterisk, "This is insane, M. You okay?" Asterisk, I didn't reply, my focus shifting to the venue coordinator, Tara, hovering nervously at the door. "Ms. Harper," she said, "the guests are wondering what's happening. Should we make an announcement?" I glanced at the blackened scraps of my dress, then at my bridesmaids, their sage green gowns a quiet reminder of the day we'd planned. An idea sparked, fueled by the same stubbornness that had gotten me through lean years and long nights. "Tell them there's a slight delay," I said, "but the ceremony's happening in 20 minutes. Lillian scoffed, her voice dripping with venom. "In what? Your slip? You can't possibly." "In my backup dress," I interrupted, my voice steady. Nathan looked at me, confusion flickering in his eyes. "Backup dress?" he asked. I hadn't had one, of course, but years of juggling client crises had taught me to think on my feet. "Sophie," I said, "call Maggie Tate. Ask if her sample dress is available." Sophie nodded, already dialing. Henry stepped forward, pulling out his phone. "I'll have my driver get it." "Where's the boutique?" As he and Sophie coordinated, I turned back to Lillian, who stood rigid, her plan unraveling. "You thought a dress would stop us?" I said, my voice low but firm. "After everything Nathan and I have built together?" Her eyes narrowed, but she said nothing, the weight of the live stream's exposure pinning her in place. The next 20 minutes were a blur of purpose. Lillian was escorted out by security at Henry's insistence, her protests fading down the hall. Maggie Tate arrived, her arms laden with not one but 3 sample dresses from her boutique. The bridal suite became a hive of activity, my bridesmaids transforming into a makeshift styling team. Clara held up an ivory sheath dress with delicate lace sleeves. "This one," she said, her photographer's eye decisive. "It's perfect for you, Em." The venue seamstress, hired for minor adjustments, worked miracles with pins and quick stitches, tailoring the dress to hug my frame. Sophie adjusted a borrowed veil, her florist's hands deft and gentle. Lila, ever the wordsmith, kept the mood light, joking about pitching this chaos to Sam as the ultimate brand resilience campaign. Through it all, I felt a strange calm, like the quiet of the Blue Ridge Mountains at dawn. This wasn't the wedding I'd planned, but it was becoming something more, something real. Nathan had returned to the ceremony space to address the guests. Through the live stream, still running on my phone, I heard his voice, steady and warm. Today didn't go as planned, he said, but Emily and I believe a marriage isn't about perfect moments. It's about facing the messy ones together. The guests' applause echoed through the speakers, a wave of support that made my throat tighten. I looked in the mirror, the new dress simpler than my original, but elegant in its clean lines. It felt like me, adaptable, unyielding. Sophie stepped back, smiling. "You're stunning, Em." Henry knocked softly before entering, his eyes softening as he saw me. "Emily, you're radiant," he said, his voice thick. "I'm so sorry for Lillian's actions. They were unforgivable." "You don't need to apologize for her," I said, meeting his gaze. "You didn't light the match." He nodded, a flicker of gratitude in his expression. "Nathan's ready when you are," he added. "And your boss, Sam, is out there, saying this is the best viral campaign Asheville's ever seen." I laughed, the tension breaking. Sam always found the silver lining in chaos. Tara, the venue coordinator, returned with a question. "The live stream's still on. Want to keep it running?" I nodded, an idea sparking. "Can we project it in the ceremony space? I want everyone to see the journey, not just the arrival." She grinned, catching my vision. "I'll make it happen." 10 minutes later, Clara, Sophie, and Lila flanked me as we walked through the venue's garden path, the Blue Ridge Mountains framing the horizon. The live stream captured every step, broadcasting our approach to the guests waiting inside. My heart raced, not with fear, but with a fierce determination to reclaim this moment. The borrowed dress felt light, its lace sleeves catching the breeze, and I imagined my brother watching from halfway across the world, cheering me on. As we reached the ceremony space, the doors swung open, and the guests' applause roared to life. It wasn't the hushed reverence of a traditional entrance, but a celebration of defiance, of love that refused to be burned away. Nathan stood at the altar, his face lighting up as he saw me. "Ready to get married?" he asked, taking my hand, his voice warm with certainty. "More ready than ever," I said, squeezing his fingers. The crowd settled, their faces glowing with something deeper than wedding day joy, admiration, respect, solidarity. Henry stood in the front row, his posture proud, though his eyes flicked to the empty seat beside him where Lillian should have been. I felt a pang of sadness for him, but it was overshadowed by the strength in Nathan's grip. Pastor Elena stepped forward, her presence calming. "Dearly beloved," she began, her voice carrying over the crowd, "we're here to celebrate not just a wedding, but a testament to love's endurance. Emily and Nathan have faced a trial today and met it with grace and unity." Her words wove the chaos into something sacred, and I felt tears prick my eyes, not from loss, but from the overwhelming sense of being seen, supported, loved. The ceremony felt alive, unscripted, raw. Pastor Elena's words set the tone, and when it came time for our vows, Nathan went off script. He held my hands, his eyes locked on mine, and spoke from the heart. "Emily, I promise to stand by you, no matter who tries to tear us apart," he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Especially if that person is from my own family." The guests murmured in approval, and I felt a warmth spread through me, like sunlight breaking through clouds. My turn came, and I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Nathan, I promise to face every storm with you, to build a life where we're stronger together than any fire that tries to burn us down." My voice wavered, but I meant every word, the weight of the day giving them new depth. The crowd's quiet affirmations wrapped around us like a shield. A moment of panic flickered when Nathan reached for the rings Lillian had been holding them before her outburst. But Henry stepped forward, producing a velvet box from his pocket. "I grabbed these earlier," he said softly, "just in case." His foresight was a quiet gift, and I squeezed his arm in gratitude as he returned to his seat. Pastor Elena pronounced us husband and wife, and the room erupted in cheers. As we walked back down the aisle, hand in hand, the guests rose, their applause a tidal wave of support. Sam, my boss, stood off to the side, filming discreetly, his grin a mix of pride and marketing glee. "This is gold, Em," he mouthed, giving a thumbs up. I laughed, the weight of the morning lifting with every step. The reception in the venue's ballroom was electric, charged with a defiance that felt like a festival. A guest had created a Snapchat filter, a phoenix rising from ashes, with Emily and Nathan scripted below. Clara leaned in, her phone glowing. "You're trending locally with #AshevillePhoenix," she said, her eyes sparkling. "People are calling this the gutsiest wedding in North Carolina." The reception buzzed with a warmth I hadn't expected. Guests who'd arrived in starched formality, Lillian's country club allies, had either slipped away or softened, joining my friends and colleagues in toasts that felt genuine. Henry moved through the crowd, his attorney's charm now laced with resolve as he thanked guests for staying and subtly signaled that Lillian's absence was no loss. Nathan watched him, a quiet pride in his eyes. "I've never seen Dad like this," he murmured. "He's always let Mom run the show. Today, he's different." Sam approached, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. "Henry's handling this like a crisis PR pro," he said, grinning. "And you two? You're the story of the year. The local news wants a quote." Nathan squeezed my waist. "Tell them we're grateful for the support," he said. "And that real love means tackling obstacles together, not dodging them." A guest, Nathan's cousin Ellie, pulled us aside during dinner. "Not everyone in the family agrees with Aunt Lillian," she said, her voice firm. "Most of us think she went way over the line. You've got us in your corner." Her words warmed me, a reminder that family could mean more than blood. It could mean those who chose to stand by you. The wedding photographer, initially hired by Lillian, approached cautiously. "Mrs. Brooks, Emily," she corrected with a smile, "I've got some incredible shots, but about the dress incident, some guests snapped photos. Should I ask them to keep those private?" Nathan and I exchanged a glance. "No," I said. "Let's own it. It's part of our story now." My phone buzzed. A notification from a local news page showing the clip of Lillian's outburst had hit 25,000 views. The comments were a flood of support, with strangers sharing their own tales of standing up to toxic in-laws. As the night unfolded, I noticed Henry speaking intently with family members, his gestures sharp with purpose. Nathan's aunt, Clara's mom, leaned over during a quiet moment. "Henry's furious," she confided. "Lillian's at her sister's in Raleigh, claiming she was testing the dress. But Henry told her she's the one at risk of losing her place in the family business after this." Nathan's hand tightened around mine under the table. "Dad's always been the quiet strength," he said. "Mom never saw it because he let her think she was in charge." The empty tables near the front, once reserved for Lillian's elite friends, were now filled with my agency colleagues, their laughter and support a stark contrast to the morning's chaos. Our first dance felt like a reclaiming of the day, Nathan's arm steady as we swayed to a soft acoustic tune. The guests' warmth wrapped around us, dissolving the last of Lillian's artificial barriers. Later, Tara led us to the ballroom's entrance, where a large frame stood covered in handwritten notes from guests. The heading read, "Messages of Love and Resilience for Emily and Nathan." Sophie grinned beside it. "We asked everyone to write something after, well, you know." I read a few, my eyes misting at words like, "You showed us what love can endure," and "Here's to rising stronger." The gesture felt like Asheville itself was holding us up, its community spirit stronger than any one person's malice. A week into our honeymoon on the Outer Banks, Nathan and I sat on our cottage deck, the Atlantic's waves a soothing backdrop as we scrolled through our phones. The story of our wedding had snowballed, from a local news blip to a national conversation about standing up to toxic family dynamics. Messages poured in from strangers, couples who'd faced their own battles with disapproving in-laws, thanking us for showing that love could triumph. Nathan set his phone down, a text from Henry glowing on the screen. "Mom's staying with Aunt Karen in Raleigh," he said. "She's still spinning her story, but Dad says almost no one's buying it." I adjusted my son at, smiling wryly. "Hard to spin, now you can't marry my son," while waving a lighter. Nathan laughed, but his eyes were thoughtful. "Dad's different now," he said. He told Mom her actions made his choice clear as over her unless she gets help. Sam texted, his excitement palpable. *3 new clients want the Phoenix team for their campaigns. You two up for a crisis management panel when you're back. I showed Nathan, who raised an eyebrow. "Only if you want to, We can keep this ours." I thought of the messages from others, their stories mirroring ours. "Maybe we can help," I said. "Not the wedding I pictured, but it's real. Like us." 3 months later, Nathan and I stepped into the Asheville Art Museum for the Brooks Foundation's annual gala, my emerald gown, another gift from Maggie Tate, shimmering under the lights. It was our first major public outing since the honeymoon, and my stomach fluttered with nerves. Nathan squeezed my hand. "Feeling okay?" he asked. I smoothed my dress, nodding. "A little. But we've faced worse." Henry greeted us at the entrance, his face brighter than I'd ever seen. "There's the couple who changed everything," he said, pulling us into a warm embrace. The gala felt different, no trace of Lillian's rigid formality. Instead, the room hummed with genuine connection, the guest list now filled with community leaders and creatives rather than her social climbers. Henry led us to a display showcasing the Foundation's new Phoenix Grants, a program for women rebuilding after hardship. A subtle phoenix motif graced the logo, a nod to our story. "We've funded 20 women so far," Henry said, pride in his voice. "Each one starting over, just like you did." A young woman approached, introducing herself as a grant recipient. "Your wedding gave me the courage to leave a controlling relationship," she said. "Now I'm launching a bakery." Her words hit me hard, a reminder that our pain had sparked something bigger. Later, on the museum's terrace, Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Henry, "Your mother's back in Asheville. She's agreed to counseling if she wants any chance with us. Proud of you both." I searched Nathan's face for hesitation, but he smiled, pulling me close. "Whatever comes next, we handle it together," he said. "Like always." I leaned into him, the city's lights twinkling below. Some flames destroy, others forge something unbreakable. To everyone who's followed our journey, thank you. You've walked with us through betrayal, resilience, and love that refused to break. If our story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Join us in celebrating the messy, beautiful truth of starting over. Keep building your own unbreakable bonds, and I'll meet you where love rises stronger.